Arjuna stood on a battlefield frozen, not because he was afraid to die, but because he no longer knew who he was supposed to be. That's the part of the story everyone skips. We remember the war. We forget that the war almost didn't happen because a warrior looked at the role he'd spent his whole life chasing and suddenly couldn't recognize himself inside it. Sound familiar? You chase a dream long enough, and it stops being something you want. It becomes something you wear. The titles, the wins, the version of you that performs well under pressure. And one day you're standing in the middle of everything you built, and you feel exactly what Arjuna felt. Not strength, not pride, just, who is this holding the bow? Here's what Krishna didn't do. He didn't tell Arjuna to chase the win harder. He didn't hand him a bigger goal. He asked him a smaller question first. Do you even know your own nature, separate from this fight? That question is the whole teaching. Krishna describes the self as a passenger in a chariot. The senses are the horses, the mind is the reins, and most people spend their entire lives mistaking the ride for the rider. You can win every race in a chariot you don't control. You can chase a dream for decades and never once meet the one steering it. That's the trap nobody warns you about. Ambition doesn't ask you to lose yourself all at once. It asks for small pieces, one decision at a time, until the version of you that remains is built entirely out of what the goal required, not out of what was actually yours. So what's the alternative? Quit chasing things? No. Krishna doesn't tell Arjuna to walk off the battlefield. He tells him to fight, but to stop fighting for the outcome. Do the work. Release your grip on what it's supposed to make you. Because the moment your identity depends on winning, you've handed the steering wheel to the prize. And prizes are cruel charioteers. They only love you while you're useful to them. This is the part that sounds backwards until you sit with it. The people who seem the most like themselves, even mid-pursuit, are rarely the ones obsessed with the destination. They're the ones who already know who's holding the reins before the race even starts. Identity isn't the thing waiting for you at the finish line. If anything, the finish line is where identity gets tested, not built. Arjuna wins the war, but that's not the actual turning point of the story. The turning point is earlier, quieter. The moment he remembers that he is not the warrior, not the prince, not the outcome of the next 10 minutes. He is the one watching all of it happen and choosing anyway. That's the difference between chasing a dream and becoming a person. One is performance. The other is awareness, wearing the performance like a coat it can take off. So if you've spent years climbing towards something and you still feel like a stranger inside your own life, this is the question worth asking. Not, how do I get there faster? But, who is this holding the bow? Because the goal will change. It always does. New mountain, new title, new version of there. But the one asking the question, the one Krishna asked Arjuna to remember before a single arrow was fired. That's the part that was never supposed to be built by the dream in the first place. It was only ever supposed to be remembered.